The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw Dating, preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star. Now your host, Nicole Hutchison.
Cowboys Nation, welcome into Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys in the SWBC studio. I'm Nicole Hutchison alongside Aisha Morrison, Bonnie Jo Laughlin, and Jazz Moan. Hey! I ain't did a little extra today. It was just a little Jazz Moan.
Jazzy.
What? I'm sick of her, bro. I'm literally sick. How y'all doing today, ladies? Y'all good? Y'all good?
Good. This week seems long, though, huh?
Yeah, a little bit. A little
Spirits
tired.
is high. Spirits is high. We need to bring all the good vibes to win this game.
This Lions team coming to town.
Every single bit of good vibes. We need to be
for sure
sending it their way.
Yeah. Felt good vibes in locker room today. I didn't get a chance to go out to practice because of work, but I sense that the confidence is there within this team. I know that I talked to a couple of guys just about like the sense of urgency, and they're like, I think more of the sense of urgency is just like feeling better going into the bye week. It's not more so of we got the 49ers that we have to travel to afterwards. It's really just about them. So I'm getting a good vibe check. What about y'all?
Same. I'm going to tell y'all a story. We'll count this as my just a few minutes since I also did not make it to practice.
I'm going to tell y'all a story.
I read this stat to Osa Odigizua, and I'm going to tell y'all his reaction, but I'm going to read the stat first. It says, the Steelers made an effort to take Osa Odigizua out of the game in their Week 5 matchup, double-teaming him on 12 of his 24 pass rushes, which is a 50% rate. While Odigizua generated only 2 pressures on those 12 pass rushes, his teammates generated another 5, giving them a 58.3% pressure rate when he was double-teamed compared to just a 25% pressure rate when Odigizua was left one-on-one. So I was like, how does it feel that you make such a big impact on the defense that the pressure rate goes up that much just by you demanding attention? And he was like, wait, what'd you say? He's like, I was like, yeah, so when you demand attention, it lets everybody else make plays. So how do you feel to be the guy who gets that attention and helps the numbers go up that way? And he's like, it sounds like I need to win more in my one-on-ones. He was like, read me those stats again. So I read it again. And he's like, so what is it, 12? It's a 50% rate? So it was 12 that I didn't get? He was like, yeah, I need to win those. I was like, so you just going to go to like a 75% pressure rate?
Well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I get what he's saying, too, because typically he's a 3-tech. Yeah. He's the pass rush guy. He's the guy that you are double-teaming for to be free. Yes. So it's like, it's a good thing that they respect him that much, but then also is like, it's not a good thing that they respect him that much
also
because
like Mozzie.
That's who needs to be drawing the double teams. Mm-hmm. So Osa can be free and do it, and that's what he means by I need to win my number one matchup because then that won't be happening. But that's fine.
I didn't even look at it that way. I was looking at it as a compliment. I was like, yeah, did you know those numbers? And he was just like, I need to win more in my one-on-one.
He was insulted.
Because like, what is it?
I'm glad you just brought it up to him.
That's actually a matchup nightmare. I wish they Jesus.
Let's go ahead and run through this injury report real quick. So far, we have, let me make sure, because I did say yesterday that Eric Kendricks was not on the injury report, which I did not see him on the injury report. However, he is on the injury report today, and he did not participate in practice because of his shoulder.
They say shoulder and ankle, right?
It just says calf, shoulder.
Okay.
But I know Mike McCarthy did say in the press conference today that it's really his shoulder. And then, of course, Micah Parsons, he was spotted out there on practice, but he's not practicing, of course. Zach Martin did not participate today because of a back. Nick Vigil did not participate as well, and Trayvon Diggs did not participate today after being a full participant on Wednesday. So thoughts on Eric Kendricks before we get down to the nitty-gritty of this Cowboys and Detroit Lions matchup. Thoughts on Eric Kendricks and I can't even say it because I don't want to think about it. Eric Kendricks' possibility not playing on Sunday.
What's wrong with Nick Vigil?
It is a foot injury.
Was anybody limited today?
Nope.
All right, well, with that context, because if I'm not mistaken, they let Nick Vigil do some green dot stuff when Kendricks was out, which is crazy. Yeah. But they did that. So I would assume that, I mean, with how the Lions play football and how heavily they have 2 tight ends in blocking and some of the stuff they do, you're going to need to be in base a lot, which is 3 linebackers. So without Kendricks, that means it's going to be DeMarvion Overshown. It'll be Maris Luafau probably. And it sounds like maybe it would be Damone Clark. However, I still don't know who runs the mic because they took that responsibility from Damone Clark. So this is kind of a weird place to be in, especially since the Lions do so much window dressing and motion and stuff. It would have helped to have Kendricks. Oh, we're not sure yet. But it would be helpful to have him out there because he is the veteran that can kind of see things, diagnose things. I want to throw up.
I was thinking along those same lines. Like in the past, when the Cowboys have been without that reliable guy with the green dot, it hasn't gone well. Like they've tried to give it to other people who are good players, but it's like it's a different type of skill set besides just being good at what you do.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm hoping that he got the rest that he needed today, and if necessary tomorrow, so that he can show up on Sunday.
And he is older, right? So, and I'm not calling you a senior citizen, Kendricks, but he is older. So maybe they are just kind of how they used to do
training age,
tracking that, like as far as how they used to do Tyron, where they just wouldn't push him during the week, and then they would allow him to. I would hope that. But yeah.
And you made a great point Tuesday talking about that. You look at the injury report after a team plays a Lions. So all that makes me nervous when you start talking about the injuries we already had before the game.
They beat people up.
For me, if you had to decide, or let me ask y'all first, if you had to decide on who would be the mic heading into that game, I know this is not something that we want to be thinking about, but if we had to think about it, who would be y'all's Mike linebacker? I think I would go with Maris, and I only say that because of his ability. He's very intelligent. I think that he's grown over the last couple of weeks. Granted, he is still young, still a rookie, but I think that he's shown that coverage ability, that ability to play sideline to sideline and be very instinctual. So I would go with Maris, even though you would want a guy like Damone to be able to, but he hasn't played really a lot of defensive snaps. That's the only thing about that.
If it's not Nick Vigil, just he's dealing with the foot, then I guess Maris, to your point, would be your best option. It's a lot to put on him with this offense.
It is. I was thinking that.
And also, too, like you talk about the diagnosing, he is eventually going to be your Mike linebacker, though. Like, that's, to me, what the plan is. But if they don't do it with the linebacker, we've seen them do it with a safety. We've seen Malik Hooker be the green dot, which I'm also not a fan of because – like, you can only see so much when you're all the way back there. And the communication, it puts a strain on you. Like, this is hurting me. I don't have an answer. What you got, Jazz?
Like, as you were asking the question, I was thinking to myself, I can't believe I never thought about this. But I'm thinking along the same lines as y'all. My first thought would have been Damone if he was getting more snaps, but he's not. And so then I go to Luafau, not only because he's intelligent, but also because he tends to be the most even-keeled out of everybody.
Exactly.
So when it comes to demeanor, he's the one who I would trust the most.
Even?
To...
He's cuckoo for Cocoa. He is. When you talk to him in the locker room, he'd be like, yes.
But that's what I'm saying. He has the ability to be that way. I feel like if he was
like DeMarvion,
no,
absolutely not.
Exactly. DeMarvion is a lightning bolt. Is a lightning bolt personified. Yes. I would be like, he's gonna have the green dot and not say anything because he's gonna be busy flying sideline to sideline. Go ahead.
What you got?
Damone, of course, but it's funny you say because Overshown. Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator for the Lions, he was speaking about everything with the Cowboys, and you know who he mentioned? Overshown. He said that's who scares me. He said he'll get you. He goes he'll punch you right in the mouth. And so maybe not the green dot from what you said,
Jordan Lewis will punch you in the mouth.
Right, like literally. But it was interesting that of everyone, he mentioned Overshown that's who he's been dialed in on.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this is nasty work.
No, that's
but let's not think even that we even have to.
And hopefully he can go, but if he can't go, at least have him on the headset. Something. Be telling them what to do from the sideline.
Yeah, right.
Make him a coach for the day.
Do it, please. I bet.
The headset and all.
All right, ladies. Real fast before we take our first break, Daron Bland But no, Daron Bland speaking to the media today after his first day of practice was yesterday, so that was on Wednesday. And I loved how Dak Prescott said that he made a good break on the ball in his first day back. So shout out to Daron Bland. But with the possibility of him making a return because from what I'm gathering, I feel like he will be
playing.
I
I
think
get that.
so, too.
I get that.
They're going to
too.
keep him on a rep count, but I do feel like they want to just start ramping him up a little bit to start preparing him for the season. At least that's what I gathered. So, y'all's thoughts on Daron coming back? I'll start
Well,
with
of
you,
course, you want him back. Just his leadership, what he did last year was incredible. But, also you don't want him to get hurt. You don't want to, press too much. So I'm thinking just having him out there, I think, is going to be big. But I'm worried about him, the rust and trying to get his rhythm and his pace and his timing, all of that obviously is a concern. But I think just having him in there is going to be huge. Which is obvious.
I can't remember what I was about to say. Oh, so that's why I asked you if anybody was limited, because I know he was on a rep count at practice, which to me sounds like you're limited practicing, but I guess you can call that full.
Yeah, he was full.
But, yeah, Mike McCarthy had said in his press conference that he would be on a rep count today, and I asked him, I was like, did you stick to that rep count? And he was like, yeah, we stuck to it. And I also asked him, I said, so a lot of people were surprised when Stephen Jones said that there was a good chance he'd be playing. He was like, I was surprised too. So, considering all that, I'm just like, I'm still very much in wait and see mode. But I do feel like, based on what we've learned so far, if he does play, it definitely will be on a rep count. What I'm worried about is just impact, because sometimes you can be coming back from an injury and just ramping up that intensity too much, too quickly,
Too fast,
can have a negative impact. So that's my main concern. But I do feel like, the defense could definitely use him. Although he did say that he is proud of the guys who have stepped in his place. Yep. So that's good. But, I'm still very much in wait and see mode.
I mean, if I'm being real with you, I mean, that's funny that he didn't know. Have y'all heard that Dalvin Cook finds out if he listening to the radio? It's not my business.
Please.
But no, I will say, at this point, I do have a lot of trust in Britt Brown as far as his decision making, and if he believes the player is ready. We know that Mike McCarthy is kind of particular about rushing guys back. We've seen them hold guys back plenty of time longer. It's even so if the guy just isn't mentally ready to go. So I do have confidence in the idea that they're not going to put him out there if he's not ready, number one. But number two, if you are going to play devil's advocate, it does kind of express that they maybe feel like this game is important and that they maybe feel like that the Lions will try to take advantage of some things downfield, specifically with Jameis Williams, because he's a problem. I kind of think what's going to happen is, and we've seen this happen, where they're like, you're on a pitch count. Yeah. And then the count go up as the game goes on. I think it might just be contingent on what's going on and how things look. Like, you've seen Booth, you've seen
Amani,
you've seen Ao. Ao held it down a little bit better. But if indeed he cannot, or if it's that serious, maybe you rotate him in or something like that. But yeah, I'm okay with it, and I actually respect the fact that they're doing some type of. This is a ramp up. This is him practicing today full. To your point yesterday, Nicole, they kind of practice wasn't as serious yesterday in a sense. Sounds like the guys came in there was tired and things like that. Felt like practice was a little intense. To hear that he was full today, to me, it's just a good sign regardless of if he plays or not this week.
Yesterday they were going over scouted looks. It was very much a slower pace. Today they were in pads, a much more intense practice. So, I mean, he got through all the reps, which is good. So that's good. And he has been ramping up for people, who don't know. Like, he has been doing some work and practicing some athletic movements. It's not like he was just sitting on the couch and they were like, you in practice now. So
Okay.
Something I did gather, too, when he was talking to the media is that he did make it clear that it is ultimately his decision. Granted, he does have those conversations with the coaches and the staff, but he'll know, whether or not he feels like he's healthy enough. So I love that.
I'm glad that you said that because people be like, don't rush him back. Don't. And I'm like, do y'all think that the players have no input, input on their bodies and what happens with them? So I'm glad that.
I think they do think that.
People do think that. They be like, I don't want them to rush him back. Baby, do y'all think that there was no group think involved at all?
Crazy. That's sick. Sick. On that note, we're going to take our first break. We're stick with us right here. After the break, we'll be breaking down this offense and what they have to do to attack this Detroit Lions defense. Stick with us right here on Girls Talk, Boys Talk. We'll be right back.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby. The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that 6th ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
The Dickey family always mandated that the only Polish-style sausage worthy of their restaurant must have high-quality coarse ground beef and pork, rich spices, and fresh natural casings. We still serve it to this day, and it's so popular, Dickey's sausage has been named the official sausage of the Dallas Cowboys. The perfect matchup on game day. Dickey's Barbecue Pit. No one outsmokes us. Order at dickeys.com. For groups, call 866-BARBECUE.
Dibs on the ribs.
All right, stay connected with the Dallas Cowboys, your connected TV. Catch up on all Cowboys content like player interviews, weekly TV shows, podcasts, docuseries like Deep Blue, and much more. Download the Cowboys Now app on Amazon Fire, Roku, and, of course, Apple TV.
Go ahead and download the Cowboys app.
There we go.
Go ahead and download the Cowboys app.
That sounds
You
real
writing,
Houston.
you writing jiggles now?
All we gotta do is chop, Jazzy,
Chop and
please
screw.
chop and screw it for us, please.
Go ahead download the Cowboys app. Yo. All right, my bad. All right, I got a little off topic. I'm sorry, ladies. All right, Cowboys getting ready to take on the Detroit Lions. We talked about the defense yesterday. Let's go ahead and break down this offense. And we remember last year, CeeDee Lamb had a freaking day. 92-yard receiving touchdown. And also, he finished with 227 yards, 13 catches, and a touchdown. And yeah, how much do you feel like the Cowboys could really get him involved? Because he's been kind of a little bit quiet. He's been more of like a decoy the last couple of weeks and really double teamed as well. But how do you feel like the Cowboys can find ways to get him the ball?
I would love to see him have a big day. 100, 150 yards would be wonderful. So here's the thing. Based on, and I'm going to paint this picture for y'all in a second, not right now. Right now I'm going to stick to CeeDee. Okay. But based on some of the things that I've been seeing as far as like trends in the Lions man coverage and how CeeDee is doing versus man, I could see him getting very involved. I think it's just going to come down to what the Lions decide to do, which we really don't know yet. Because he could, like, in most games this season so far, he's been both a decoy and he's been the guy to go to. Dak said that he's just been going through his progressions. And so if the pass to CeeDee is there, he goes there. And if CeeDee is demanding attention, somebody else is open, then he goes there. So I think it's going to depend on what they decide to do. What we've seen from these teams where it's like they don't put as much attention on CeeDee in the first half, and then he's like quieter in the second half because they are giving him more attention. I feel like the Lions are going to break that trend just because they've seen how it hasn't really worked out for other teams. So I can see them maybe flip-flopping that or something, but I think he'll play both roles as a decoy and as the guy. And the Lions are just going to have some decisions to make as far as the weapons that the Cowboys have on the field.
Yeah, sure. Of course, he could be a decoy, but I think Dak's going to find ways to get him the ball. You know, obviously, his track record with the Lions, you got to think about that, and then the play design and versatility. I feel like, of course, he's in the slot, but I think they can kind of move him around and kind of get the Lions defense confused. And then, of course, the secondary concerns. The issues have participants in Detroit ranking 21st in dropback EPA and giving big performances to big receivers. So that's something
What do you think?
on track on that.
Yeah. I mean, hold on. Let me gather myself. I'm sorry. I was trying to process everything y'all were saying, so I wasn't repeating y'all. But as far as like how they run defense now, the Lions this year are running a lot more man than they did last year. They were doing a little bit more zone coverage. I think that was because they were not so sure of their secondary. Their secondaries had some trouble, despite the fact their overall defense has been good. Their secondaries had some trouble the last couple of years. They went out and got Carlton Davis from the Bucks, the corner. Also went out and got Terrion Arnold out of the draft. You talked about Kirby Joseph earlier. You said he has something going on, right?
Hamstring. He was limited today in practice.
That's good to know. This secondary does struggle in coverage at times. And here's the thing is like, they try to do some things where they're disguising, where they're showing like, oh, we're in man, but they might drop into a zone. I'm looking for the Cowboys to. This is going to be a Dak Prescott game as well, where he's going to be able to read and make some decisions on the fly or whatever. But as far as CeeDee Lamb goes, I would go at these people. Like, don't get me wrong. I understand. Like, I love that Dak is going through his progressions and everything, but there should be opportunities within this passing game, specifically getting behind their linebackers where you can attack. I would do quick slants. You could do some mesh combinations. The Seahawks had a lot of success doing that, where they have crossers coming across the formation or just an extra guy slipping out to the outside. They saw some success with that. I think CeeDee Lamb will have a lot of opportunities to do different things within the passing game, and I'm not sure if they double him. And I only say that because Devin Witherspoon, he plays for the Seahawks, yeah? What team does he play for? Yes, he does. Brian Branch? Anyway, Brian Branch, their safety. Mm-hmm. They use him a lot in the box. He comes down, stuff like that. If he is in run support, how are they going to double team CeeDee Lamb in some of these areas with their safety? So, and if Kirby Joseph is dealing with a hamstring, go at these folks.
Well, I mean,
I was going to ask you about that, too, if you thought that the Cowboys' personnel was a good setup for some of the crossing things that we saw the Seahawks do against them. Because I'm still of the mindset that would have been a very different game had it not been for just, like, I don't know. I feel like the 100% completion rate was just like an anomaly.
Oh, you talking about against the Seahawks?
Seahawks, I think.
You talking about Jared Goff against the Seahawks?
I'm talking about what the Seahawks did against the Lions. Defense.
Oh, tracking that.
If the Cowboys, the way their offense is set up, if they could duplicate some of the same things.
I think so. When you look at how the Seahawks run the ball, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Is anyone like they have Charbonnet, but like Kenneth Walker? Like, it's pretty much on the same level as, like, Arico and those guys. And they had some success running the ball. When you go look at the stat sheet, you see 60 yards, 50 yards, 40 yards. Like, so many people touch the ball, to your point, on that Seahawks offense going against this Lions defense would let you know. But one thing about Geno, though, y'all, you watch that Seahawks game, he was throwing some dimes. He was so decisive, too. I'm looking for Dak to be decisive in his passing when you're talking about CeeDee Lamb and the other guys getting involved. So I don't think it's going to be a problem. I will say they do need to figure that out, though. I don't accept it. I reject it. I reject, I'm doubled, I don't get the ball. No, like... I reject that. I get that Dak is going through his progressions, distributing the ball right, but you are going to need him to make plays late in games sometimes, and you don't want him to be cold because you just haven't tried.
Or passive or assuming it's just not coming to him.
Tracking. So, like, and I love that he has kind of stayed engaged. We've talked about it on the show, the fact that he's still blocking. He's still running his routes and everything. But I reject it.
That's something that McCarthy, was asked about in the press conference, is that why has CeeDee Lamb's catches gone down, his production gone down in the second half? Because I believe he has averaged like 4 in the second half. Yeah. But it's also kind of like you can't really force it. If it's not working, don't force it. What's y'all's thoughts on that? Because at the same time, you still need him to be a playmaker in these type of games.
I think that's where creativity comes into play. I think whenever you hear about so many people saying, hey, we need you to scheme guys open, that's what they're asking for. Because at this point, we know they go in the locker room, they make adjustments, they come out at halftime, and then there's even more attention on CeeDee. We know. So, okay, let's come up with a way to get him out of those situations so that your best player can get the ball.
Yeah. And it's right, because Dak also said, he's like, I'm not one of those quarterbacks that's just going to always just throw to my favorite target. Like, he does like to spread the ball around. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing at times, but he does have a confidence in Ferg and Tolbert and Turpin and everyone else. So sometimes, if he's double teamed, he thinks, okay, well, CeeDee will do some blocking, do some other stuff, not realizing what you said. He can get cold. He needs to be that deep threat, and especially in crucial times in red zone.
Yeah. Well, they're trying to be smart. I think Dak also, too, understands that his defense can't take the other turnovers.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, if he does force that in there and it doesn't work out and it's a turnover, it is going to put a damper on, what else you have going on. So I get it. I respect it. But I go back to definitely what you said, Jazz. People get their number one receiver open all the time.
All the time.
And to your point, I'm watching these games. The way they're bracketing him is not exotic. It's not fancy. This is literally basic level stuff. Like, that safety's just like, you know what? I'm just going to stay over here for a little while. They're not disguising anything and making anything crazy. Yeah. So you know what's going to happen. Exactly. Figure out a way to attack that later in games as well. Because it's just not a good... It's honestly just not a... Like, whether there's nothing going on, it's just not a good look either. It's just...
That's
and then people think that there's beef between them,
And there's no beef.
There's no beef.
There's no beef. It's just... I reject it.
Well, that's where you got to start using more motion.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Just start disguising these defenses. Dak was also asked about that as well. I think they finished ranked 10th in the NFL after week 5 in motion with their success rate of like 64.5. So love to see that. But as far as this offensive line, because nothing happens without this offensive I'm sorry. Things do happen even when the offensive line does struggle. Do you feel like the struggles are due to lack of chemistry or blank filling in?
No, I think it's more time and patience, especially with some of these rookies. I think you got to get that rhythm going, and I think it's just going to take time. I don't think it's chemistry. I think, again, it's just working together in time and being on the same page.
I mean, with it being that the tackles seem to be the ones who are struggling the most, it's hard for me to blame it on chemistry, considering that one of those tackles has been around for a really long time. So I don't think it's chemistry. It could be something else. But no, to answer your question, no, I don't think it's chemistry.
What do you think it is? It's blank.
I think it's individual issues for each of them.
Individuality. Yeah.
She's trying to get out of it.
I think it's individual issues for each of them. And I'm going to be honest, because I want to see so much out of Tyler Guyton, I tend to watch him more than I watch Terrence Steele. So that's my disclaimer for what I'm about to say. But like for Terrence Steele, I watched Tyler Guyton more than I watched Terrence Steele. Sorry, I don't know what I just said. I lost my train of thought. But based on what I'm seeing from him, I do feel like his issues have to do with his biomechanics. Mm-hmm. Now, with Terrence Steele, it could be the same thing. Like, maybe there were some repercussions from the injury that are still having an effect. But I know on the left side, and a lot of people are not fans of this opinion of mine, so that's why I'm like saying it that way. But I think a lot of it is biomechanics.
What's yours?
Please explain.
Biomechanics. So
you said that like it's biomechanics. I don't know what.
So okay, I'm gonna try to break this down quickly. So, like I've said before, I'm a personal trainer, so I've had to evaluate athletes, help them get through certain issues.
Is it just like fundamentals?
No.
Oh. My bad.
So what I think it is,
That's why I asked.
what I think it is quad dominance. Now, it could be multiple things. It could be quad dominance. It could be ankle mobility. It could be glute engagement. It could be core engagement, right? But it looks like quad dominance. So the reason why I say that is because here are some of the signs of quad dominance. If I'm watching athletes and I'm trying to figure out like, okay, what kind of evaluation do I need to do? What I'm seeing is weight on the toes, like heels up a lot of the time.
It was balance. They're always talking about balance, yeah.
So his weight is usually forward over his toes. He doesn't do really well with knee bend. He tends to excessively bend at the hip, so he ends up tabletopping a lot more than sinking down in his stance. Also, another symptom of quad dominance is knee injuries. It tends to lead to issues with the knee and with the ACL. So as I'm watching him, I'm just like, I'm like, yeah, I don't think it's that he doesn't know what to do. I think it really looks like he has, because it's been going on for weeks and weeks. And the hard part with him is that it looks like he's getting worse, but it's really not. What it is that what people are using to beat him is easily duplicable. Like things like veer outside and then cut inside. That doesn't take learning a new skill. It doesn't take any sort of special leverage. All it takes is a new habit from a defensive player. And so people are like, oh, I think he's getting worse. And it's like, no, it's just guys are figuring out how to beat him, and now they're doing it a lot.
Yeah.
So
I think you should train him.
No, thanks for breaking it down.
No, I know that makes a lot of
I asked him
sense.
about when you brought up the knee bend. He's leaning a lot of that. He's off balance, like you said. He doesn't have a good foundation. I asked him about the knee bend, and we see this in tackles specifically that are taller. He's tall.
He is very.
So knee bend is hard. It is difficult for him to stay in that stance and to anchor at this point. So hopefully that's something he can figure out for in the future. But thank you for that breakdown.
Yeah, I like
appreciate
that.
it.
Thank you.
Because he can improve it, obviously, as this time goes on. He's still
He
rough,
can,
so.
but I remember
it
I was
depends.
like, the habits. I'm scared of it
Bad
becoming a
habits.
habit.
Yeah, see, that's the thing.
you
It might
mentioned
have
that on
already
Tuesday.
become a habit, because what happens is when you have a deficiency or an imbalance like that, a lot of times people will compensate in a way that does become a habit. And so while I do want him to have more game reps for the experience, him doing the same thing over and over again isn't necessarily the best thing. And then as far as fixing it, it depends on, okay, is it that your muscles aren't strong enough? Is it that your hamstrings and glutes literally are not strong enough for you to do what you need to do and for them to work synergistically? Because that's what it's supposed to be. Your hamstrings working with your quads and your glute muscles to help you sink down in a stance as opposed to bending over. And so it's like, okay, is your posterior chain not activating? Like you don't know how to use it, but the muscles are strong? Or are those muscles like literally weak? Which you can be a very large, otherwise strong person and just have certain muscle groups that are weak. That is the thing that happens.
So then my question is, if you are afraid of him creating these bad habits, who do you put out there, let's just say after the bye week, if this continues to happen? Do you like that lineup of maybe having to switch Tyler Smith back out to left tackle, having a TJ Bass at left guard? I know you.
Is Chuma healthy at that point?
And we don't know if Chuma's healthy.
Well,
or not.
that's what I would do. It would be Chuma at left tackle for me.
For this Sunday, I think having Tyler Smith at left tackle is fine for this Sunday. I just feel like if they were going to actually bring Chuma back in, they'd do it after the bye week. It sounds like something that would happen after the bye week.
And that's what I was. Yeah, I agree. Like I would do it after the bye week at this point, because when you look at the Seahawks defensive line, yeah, they have some players, but it really starts and ends with Aiden Hutchinson and how he does things. And they don't particularly, they move him around sometimes, but they don't particularly just move him around like that. So it's
him versus Steele.
Yeah, so that's going to be something he has to deal with. I wanted to answer your question. You said what?
Are the struggles due to lack of chemistry or blank?
Are you sure that's you?
I would say it's from the lack of run game efficiency.
I could see
And
that.
I say that because we saw it was important to me, because like I think the run game has several different roles that it plays in a football game. It's for pacing, it's to wear down the defense, it's to keep the defense honest. There's just so many things. It sets up your play action. Run game has so many different factors that it plays into the game, and you saw a small glimpse last week of what a run game can do to the rest of your offense, but also too when you talk about going up against some of these better pass rushers, how you wear on them as the game goes on. So when you get in that third, fourth quarter and these guys are trying to make a play, if the game's close, they tired.
Yeah.
They huffing and puffing. And that's kind of, you saw some of that from the Steelers in that fourth quarter. Like Terrence Steele and Zach Martin began to wear down on that defensive line. And in turn, it makes your pass game easier. Because guess what? They still tired. And that's it's so much that plays into it. So I'm like, the run game efficiency to me, if they can get it there, they'll be able to get the chemistry they need on the passing game side of things. It's just they got to continue to work together and find things that work for them, to me.
Talk about the run game, though. Is this a game where you truly feel like they'll have success?
They can run the ball on these people.
Yeah, they can.
And when I say these people, I'm being respectful.
Yeah.
They now, don't get me wrong. They have a pretty stout linebacker core. Jack Campbell, the linebacker out of Iowa from last year. Anzalone. Y'all, Anzalone is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Let me tell you something. The hair flowing, going all crazy. You see him flying all over the field. They'll use him on blitz packages. They'll use him in the run game. They also have Rodriguez that lines up on the outside, too, at will sometimes. Like, their linebackers really kind of do a lot for their run game. But I think you can run the ball in them. The Seahawks had some success. Their offensive line played better than what a lot of people expected. What do y'all think?
Yeah, and the run blocking game has definitely improved. We've seen it significantly every week, getting better.
Yeah,
so that's got to be.
For me, that's the exciting part, is that we've actually seen that improve regardless of
This will be the test, obviously, with the 2 running backs, but
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, absolutely. But I do like the improvements that I've seen in terms of, like, especially obviously from Rico, but just with them being able to get on the same page, because that was something that was talked about early in the season. That was like, okay, well, the blockers are not able to get in sync with the runners, and so it's affecting the run game because the blocking assignments aren't being executed well. And it just seems like that's going better. There's more patience from the running back, so they're hitting the holes better. So to me, that's what gives me a little bit of faith.
Yeah.
You just gave them bulletin board material, Aisha.
Who?
The Lions, they're going to be like, what's she mean?
What she mean?
What
These
I mean?
people.
These people.
They
humans.
put on the what's it called on the locker rooms when they come out the game in AT&T Stadium.
These humans. I mean, like I said, the Seahawks had success against them, and the Seahawks has had their fair share of issues on their offensive line. They've taken some time to gather up this offensive line. Specifically, I cannot say this man's name. How you say it? Onwuzi. Their left end. Their left end is giving up about 12 yards a carry when you go that way. So I would like to see some continuation of some of the tosses and duo and combo blocks they were doing to the outside. You gonna try to say it?
Levi Onwuzurike. I'm so sorry.
I tried myself. What's the first name?
Levi.
Levi. I'm gonna call you by your first name. I'm sorry about that. I normally love to be respectful, but I can't pronounce it. I don't want to butcher
I don't
it.
even want to. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, teams have seen some success running the ball against them. I don't know if you just go power at them. They will get caught slipping if you do some window dressing at the line of scrimmage. Hopefully, Mike McCarthy continues that trend. Their linebackers and their safeties can get lost at times if you're doing some things in that regard. But I just think they just got to run the ball.
Is it that they're getting lost, or is it that they're chasing the ball so much? Because that's what it kind of felt like. It's like it felt like their aggressiveness, their enthusiasm can be used against them sometimes.
They be hunting.
To where it's like sometimes they're a little bit too quick to try to read a play. So it's like if you have the right kind of motion, if you have the right kind of adjustment post-snap, you can really trip them up and get them like all going in one direction and be like, actually.
And to your point, Schottenheimer said that about being slower, that Rico needs to have some patience and be like slower to the lane and not to go to the hole so quick. He kept saying that over and over again.
Yeah.
So,
but even in the passing game, that's something that could work to the Cowboys' advantage with some of the things that they were doing. Like I was going back over some of the footage and I was like, is this a bunch concept with orbit motion?
You
like,
gotta go.
Yes, more of that, please.
You gotta go horizontal. You gotta go vertical with these people.
Absolutely.
Their players are too fast for you to be doing. Anytime, let me tell you something. You watch the Cowboys game and they start doing these things, passing like out, and not like in towards the middle of the field, like it's gonna be a problem because they're just gonna eat that stuff up all day. They don't care about that.
On that note, we're going to take our second break before we wrap up this show. We're talking X Factors after the break. I know it's a lot of fun. Don't hold it. All right, we'll be right back, Cowboys Nation, with more Girls Talk, Boys Talk after the break.
The Dickey family always mandated that the only Polish-style sausage worthy of their restaurant must have high-quality coarse ground beef and pork, rich spices, and fresh natural casings. We still serve it to this day, and it's so popular, Dickey's sausage has been named the official sausage of the Dallas Cowboys. The perfect matchup on game day. Dickey's Barbecue Pit. No one outsmokes us. Order at dickeys.com. For groups, call 866-BARBECUE.
Dibs on the ribs.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby! The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. burgers. Better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that sixth ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
Coming, the most action-packed motorsport experience in the world returns to Arlington. Head to AT&T Stadium on October 26th for Monster Jam and watch for Marvel Monster Jam trucks make their Arlington debut. Tickets are on sale at SeatGeek.com, which is the official ticketing partner of AT&T Stadium.
Oh my God.
Why? What?
Football's so crazy because this is my old notebook from training camp, and I have Tyron Billy Johnson written down, and the fact that he's just not like here is football's so crazy.
Football is crazy.
It goes so fast.
You know what else is crazy?
Ooh, X Factors.
X Factors. All right, who wants to go first?
Bonnie looks like she wants to go first.
What is it? We're just saying who we think's gonna.
Who is an X factor that the Cowboys need to play well to have success?
I think Jake Ferguson, just because I listened to a lot of what Aaron Glenn, who's a DC for the Lions, was saying, that they're really looking at everything he could do, how versatile he can be. So they're keeping a close eye on him, especially on third down coverages, everything. So that's someone that I think could surprise us because of everything that Ferg brings to the table and how versatile he is and the confidence that Dak has in him. And so I think he's someone that I'm looking for as that X factor.
To that point, go ahead. They run base a lot. The Lions do, which is 3 linebackers. Yeah. They put a lot of faith in their linebackers to do everything in coverage. And I understand that linebackers like that. I talked to Maris today. He was like, yeah, that's our job. And I was like, well, I know he's crazy. but to that point, I just
think he's a pass catching threat. So I'm thinking,
no, you're right. Watching the game, I looked at how the Seahawks attack their linebackers, and they can struggle with someone that has some wiggle and some suddenness. Yeah. So maybe that will be a place they can attack with Jake Ferguson. I think it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My turn? Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna try to paint this picture real quick because I'm sorry, but my X factor is 2 parts. Has that ever happened to you? I'm sorry. Okay, so CeeDee Lamb leads the NFL in receiving yards over expected and yards after the catch over expected against man coverage, right? Mm-hmm. Lions have increased their man coverage. Dak ranks 25th in completion percentage when facing man coverage, but he's top 5 in yards per attempt when facing man coverage. So how can you rank 25th in completion percentage, but then rank 5th in yards per attempt? So that means he's either getting a lot of yards or making a lot of attempts. Also, the Lions have allowed a 46.9% completion percentage when playing man, which is the 3rd lowest in the NFL. And the Lions force a tight window throw percentage of 34.4% when playing man coverage. So I put all these stats together to paint a picture of Dak Prescott having a better passing game versus man than he's had so far this season by targeting CeeDee Lamb versus man specifically. Because CeeDee Lamb is already doing well in that area. Dak Prescott, however, is not doing as well as he did in 2023. So I think one of the things that's allowing his percentage to trend upward right now is the fact that those tight windows have not been as tight in the past several weeks. It feels like the receivers are generally getting a little bit more separation. But the Lions are good at forcing that. However, Dak is really comfortable in that situation. So I feel like that connection between Dak and CeeDee that everybody's looking for so much is going to turn out to be the X factor, because they're going to take advantage of the Lions doing this whole man coverage thing and be like, well, actually, CeeDee is really good at that. And Dak knows how to be good at that. So we got it.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I was saying earlier to your point, like, y'all, that Seahawks game, like, Geno Smith had to drop some dimes. I mean, like, some straight up. Like, and I think Dak's going to have to get the ball out quick, to your point as well. Like, he's going to have to be sure.
He's also been very efficient on quick passes.
Yeah, he's going to have to be sure of what he's seeing. I don't want him drifting in the pocket how he kind of has been. He might have to step up so he can see the field clearly and make decisions. My X factor is going to be these DTs. I talked about it yesterday. It's going to be, it is what it is. If the DTs give you some stout play in the middle, it is going to help things out for your linebackers and stuff to navigate, and hopefully give your DN some opportunity to get to the passer. They got to play strong. They got to control the line of scrimmage. Do not let this Lions offensive line take advantage of you, because if they do, it's good night. I'm sorry.
Well, Osa going to have an 80% pressure rate, so
I'm telling you, like if they cannot stop the run, it's going to be a long time.
Wait, who's your offense one?
My offensive X factor?
Yeah.
My offensive X factor. That was offense. Who y'all name?
I was gonna.
You go. Tell me. Say yours.
Mine's Dak, and I say this because, granted, we just talked about offensive line struggles. Hear me out. And shout out to Patrick Nosey Walker, because he be doing these science labs that be giving all the stats. Woo! All right, the offensive line has allowed the most sacks through the first 5 games of the year since 2020. It's 12. They had 10 in 2020, the first 5 games. They've also allowed the most pressures since 2020 through the first 5 games, and that's been blitzed less times, 22 fewer times than they did in 2020. That makes sense. All right, here's another stat. When the offensive line, as far as pass pro in general, so that includes running backs, tight ends, does their job, Dak is the 3rd worst QB rating at 83%. When pass pro as well is good, that everybody holds up their blocks, Dak is the best in the NFL. I'm sorry, that was switched. My bad, my handwriting is a little bad.
That's okay.
When the pass pro is not doing their job, Dak is the best in the NFL. When they are doing their job, he's the 3rd worst in the NFL. So basically what I'm saying is Dak is going to be needed today. Whether or not the offensive line struggles, whether or not the pass pro holds up, Dak's going to be the X factor of making decisions quick, getting the ball out fast if necessary, making those throws downfield, getting different guys involved, which he did last week, which I believe was about 10 guys involved. So I think Dak's going to be the ultimate X factor offensively.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, I agree. No, I agree. Is what he does is going to be important. Also, to go hurry up on these people.
Yes.
On this team, go hurry up against them.
People.
We get it.
Yeah, I know what I'm saying. Anyway, my X factor is probably going to be Kevontae Turpin. In this game, to just continue to do some of the things that they did last week, just continue to show that threat. Their corners aren't the most speedy guys. Like, I think he can run past them, and he dang sure can run past their linebackers down the seam. So try to keep him involved, keep them honest, and help them, make them respect his speed. Because to your point, they are very aggressive and fast. So kind of try to neutralize that with a guy like Turpin.
Dak called him his secret weapon.
That's dope to know. Yeah.
That's good to know. All right, ladies. Well, this has been fun. We are back here tomorrow at 3 p.m. for more Girls Talk, Boys Talk to wrap up the week as we head into a big matchup on Sunday in Week 6 between the Detroit Lions. So, Cowboys Nation, stick with your girls tomorrow here at 3 p.m.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?